Hello, this is Caleb from JackRabbit Electric Bike Mod Co. Today I'll be showing you how to install a suspension fork onto your JackRabbit XG. I already transferred the light over to this one because that part's simple enough. For starters, we're going to grab ourselves a pair of pliers. We're going to come down to this guy right here. If you notice, there's a crimp in only one direction, like that. We want to pinch it perpendicular to there. So current crimp is this way. I want to go around to here, and we're going to give it a little bit of a squeeze till it opens up. And once it and then we should be able to just pull it right off like that. Now that we have that off, I'm going to set both of these down. We'll reinstall that crimp later. We're going to grab a 5mm Allen key. I'm going to go in right here and just loosen this bolt here to free up the brake cable. You don't have to take it all the way off. You just want it loose enough to pull this guy out. I'm going to pull it the rest of the way here, and we're going to pull it up through this post here. Now this just is free sitting, dangling off to the side, exactly what we want. Now let's get the rest of this brake off by breaking free the top and the bottom. Whenever you take it off, there is a washer in between the rotor and the fork. We do not want to lose that washer. We will be using it again later. So I'm just going to take that off, keeping this washer on it. Just going to set this down over here for later. Now let's set down the Allen key real quick. We're going to free the wheel. To do that, it's real simple. Just open up the latch here. Take this, loosen it enough for it to slip off. Done with that for now. We're going to grab our 5mm Allen key again. We want to loosen these two bolts here. We're not trying to remove, we're just trying to get them nice and loose. Next, we're going to go to top of the fork, and we want to fully remove your cap. So now we got the cap off. Let's set down over here. We're going to take the fork off, let it dangle to the side. It's okay, your cables are fine. If you're concerned about it, blue tape it to the side or something like that. We got this spacer up here. Now we're going to wiggle the fork down until we slip it out. If you want to smack with a hammer, be my guest. And then we want to grab out this little rubber ring and leave the rest of the stack there. Now we got our fork with our bearing on it, and we got our spacer and our little rubber retainer. I want to grab our bearing ring. If you notice, you have the open side and the closed side. We want open side up, just like this. And we're going to slip it onto the fork. Now let's slip the fork back into place. There are the brake cables that might get a little in the way. That's okay. Give it a wiggle. They'll move out of the way. So it's okay if you push this section here a little up. Sometimes a little bit stubborn to get on. So we're just going to slip this on top just like that. Now I want to grab the rubber ring. You have the side of the grooves and the cuts and the taper down. We want that groove side going down. Now we're going to grab our spacer and slip it back on top. It's a little rough, give it a wiggle until it stays. Now we're slipping that down. That's going to retain it partially. Now we're slipping that down. And we want to grab our fork, making sure we did not get it tangled. And we want to just slip this back on top. hold it all together. Grab your top retaining cap, put it back in, and this guy you want snug, not overly tight. So now we have it in and it's retained. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a twist till I start to feel a little more resistance. I want to make sure it still freely spins. I want to grab the top and I want to push, see if I got wiggle, grab the bottom, give it a little pull and a push, see if I have wiggle. No wiggle, that's good. I like to just give it a 1/16 of a turn, just barely anything, and sometimes even less, just to tighten it a little more. We feel good here, and we don't have any play. So now we're going to scoop around to this side, just feed it through the retainer. Now let's get back to the brakes. Gonna grab our bolts, gonna grab our washer, we're gonna grab the 5mm Allen key. This is not going to get tightened on right now. We just need it to be loosely held in place. So it goes spacer, then it goes spacer, disc brake caliper. We're just going to get the bolt in. There should still be a good bit of side and side play. You don't want a lot of up and down play. You have the lever arm on the bottom and this receiver on the top. Okay, so now we're going to grab our cable. We're going to feed it through the retainer. Just like that. And then we're going to slip it through your caliper here. And you'll want to pull it down, make sure this guy here is fully seated. Give this a slight lift. About 20 degrees is what I like to do. Now we're just going to give it a nice cinch down. This one you do want to have tight. There you go. Nice, stiff and tight. And we still have our side-side movement. Now let's grab the cable end that we took off earlier. We're going to slip it back over. Give it a little twist while doing this. Will make it easier. Or you can also find one of the spots you were at before. Give it a squeeze to just make it a little more round and slip it on. Then once you're on, you're going to give it a squeeze like that. And now it's retained. Your cable end's fine. Alternatively, you can install a cool new colored one. Now let's grab this adapter that gets shipped with it. We're gonna plug it in right up here, and this just prevents your cable from getting stretched too far. And you just plug your headlight directly into there after you have your headlight mounted. For the next part, we're grabbing the wheel. You'll probably need to open it up farther. All depends on how far you open in the first place. And we're going to slip this in. Start tightening it back again until we're able to have a nice and snug clamped experience. If you go too far, just loosen it up some. Feel around. Okay, I don't want to fully clamp this yet. I'm going to half clamp it. And then we're going to take it off the stand. So now that we're on the ground, there's some weight getting pushed down on to make sure this is set in and straight. I'm gonna open up that clamp, have it loose, hold the bike upright, and give it a tighten. So now our wheel is aligned, and then we'll be able to do the disc brake once we align the handlebars. To the handlebars, you want to look straight down it, get everything aligned, twist it into spot, where it's aligned. Then we'll grab our 5mm, and now's whenever we tighten up these 2 bolts here. Now it's time to tighten them. You are tightening into aluminum, don't strip it, but you can have these cinched down pretty good. Now we have that tight. Let's give it one last wiggle, a little side to side, forward and back. Just tug on it, twist it, make sure it's good. Another thing I like to do is I like to lock the front wheel in and then apply force to the handlebars, see if I can get to move. I'm not getting any movement, so now let's throw it back up on that stand. Same. Now we're back up on the stand. You could do this on the ground too, just easier to show you on the stand. Let's get this brake readjusted. For that, we want to make sure we have some nice left and right movement on there, which as you can see, there's plenty of jiggle. Okay, looks like I have the brake lever a little too tight, so I'm just going to take this top one and loosen it a little bit. Just tapping it down some. You don't want a bunch of play up here. Again, you want to make sure that you're fully seated here and not a lot of play there. The other thing to check is make sure that you're fully seated up here also. That most likely won't come undone, but it's still good to check. Now, whenever I squeeze the brake lever, it feels like it used to. So what I want to do is, we're loose, squeeze brake lever, and with that brake lever squeezed, I just want to gently tighten top and bottom, paying attention to if there's any movement, and then just keep walking back and forth. Looks like this bottom one needs a little more tightening. There we go. And now, if we give it a spin, there should be no rubbing and it'll feel good. If for some reason it's ever so slightly off and you notice that your rotor is too close to one pad or the other and it's touching, if it's too close to this side, the inside, you can hop onto the other side and give this guy a little counterclockwise turn. And now it's a little better. You can also just go back through, redo the adjustment. If you turn that, you will have a little more slop. And if it needs a little more space in, you turn it clockwise instead of counterclockwise. The other option is to loosen here to drop down the bar. That will move your pad towards the outside, and if you tighten it more, it moves your pad towards the inside. Other than that, you're good to go. You got a suspension fork on your XG, and it should all work good. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. But as for now, have a great day, make it yours, and make it fun. Bye.